The farmers' protest in India, which began in 2020, was a major event in the nation's agricultural and political landscape. It stemmed from the passing of three controversial farm laws by the Indian government. These laws were intended to reform the agricultural sector, but they faced significant opposition from a large section of farmers, particularly those in Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. The future of agricultural reforms in India remains a topic of intense debate, with strong arguments on both sides. Arguments in favor of agricultural reforms. First would be economic growth and market efficiency. Supporters of the reforms argue that the new laws would open up the agricultural markets by allowing farmers to sell their produce directly to private buyers or in alternative markets outside the government regulated minimum support price system. This would lead to better price discovery, potential higher income for farmers, and reduce inefficiency of the existing system. According to a report by the Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, which full form is ICRIER, deregulating the agricultural market could lead to more efficient supply chain and better prices for farmers, especially by reducing middlemen. The model has been successful in many global markets.
Attracting private investment. Reforms have been encouraged to attract private investments in agricultural sector, a main aspect in farming industry. Experts like Dr. Chand have emphasized on this as it increases infrastructure like cold storage, which reduces wastage. Global trends and modernization. Supporters argue that modernization in farming is important because it increases the supply chains, innovations and technology, which leads to more productive and competitive market in farming sector.
My name is Nityani and my roll number is 17. I'm going to be arguing against agricultural reform. I want to mainly put across 2 points, which is the fear of MSP. So MSP is basically minimum support price system, and farmers feel that with all these agricultural reforms that are coming in, the MSP system could either be weakened or completely removed over the time, and if MSP is not legally guaranteed, they feel that private buyers, these especially these private buyers, agricultural businesses, these guys can offer prices of produce that is too low. It does not cover their cost, because oftentimes or most of the time it will be below their cost of production. So it will pretty much expose them to terrible market fluctuation.
Challenges. Critics also argue that the reforms are difficult to implement effectively without addressing the systemic issues faced by the agricultural sector. According to the 2019 Niti Aayog report, India's agricultural sector struggles with inadequate infrastructure, poor credit access, and underdeveloped market systems. Unless the issues are addressed, the reforms are unlikely to succeed in their current form. Additionally, the All India Kisan Sabha highlights that farmers in rural areas lack access to market information, which could disadvantage them in a more deregulated market environment. In social unrest, the protests have highlighted significant dissatisfaction with the reforms. The sheer scale of the protests, which saw tens of thousands of farmers marching to the borders of Delhi, demonstrates the resistance. The Indian Farmers Union pointed out that many farmers were protesting not only because of the laws themselves, but also the way they were introduced, without sufficient consultation or dialogue with farmers as organizations.
Recent developments and conclusion. In December 2021, after over a year of protests, the Indian government decided to repeal the controversial farm laws. Acknowledging the widespread opposition and the negative impact the protests had on the government's image, the repeal was seen as the major victory for the farmer and their organizations. This development has led to further debate on how agricultural reforms can be undertaken in India, with a focus on ensuring that the interests of small farmers are protected while encouraging modernization. Now, about the balanced perspective. The debate around agricultural reforms in India is complex, and both sides present valuable arguments. The need for modernization in Indian agriculture is undeniable, as the sector remains inefficient with high level of wastage and inadequate infrastructure. Private sector participation. if regulated carefully, could potentially help address these issues and lead to higher productivity and farmers' income. However, it is equally important to ensure that such reforms do not exploit the vulnerability of small farmers. The future of agriculture reforms in India likely lies in finding a middle ground where market liberalization is balanced with adequate safeguard for farmers. A comprehensive, inclusive approach that takes into account the concern of all stakeholders, including farmers, agriculture experts, and the private sector, would be the ideal way forward. Only by engaging in dialogue and making concession on both sides can help India achieve hope in sustainability and progress agricultural future.